Pest control with the Fieldsports Nation. First up, serial offenders. Tristan Surgey is making life uncomfortable for the crows and jackdaws, messing up a beef farm in Sussex.
You didn't like that?
Then we head to Lincolnshire for a bumper night on the foxes with Doug Pocklington. Plus, international shooting trade shows are back. I'm in Vegas for the 2022 SHOT Show. We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. It's breakfast on a beef farm in Sussex. There's tons of high-energy fodder here for the cattle, but once the trailer leaves the yard, hundreds of unwanted diners will be dropping in for a bite.
You can see the mess they're creating, David.
Not only do they help themselves, they poo up the place too.
Just tell us where we are and what we're up to.
So we're down on secret location in East Sussex, down here, sort of close to the Pevensey marshes, and we're here on a beef farm. So we're actually stood on their silage clamp yard at the moment. This time of year there's a lot of crows, jackdaws, rooks, but just a huge number of carrion crows actually, which not only have sort of a financial impact, eating the feed and defecating all over the place. They also have,
that's a good word, well done.
Defecating, yeah, is that good?
Yes, let's
Yeah.
stay with defecating.
Yeah, not fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, not only the droppings and sort of the disease factor, but also from a conservation point of view, huge numbers of crows in the area. You've got species like lapwings, curlews.
This morning, Serious Shot and Fieldsports Nation member Tristan Surgey has invited us to share his hide as he tries to keep these corvids at bay. Tristan is restricted as to where he can put the hide. Footpaths and the farm shop mean that the only place is to tuck in next to the barn with some protection behind from the hedge line.
Right, we'll get these last few set up, and you can see them all sort of around the perimeter of the fields wanting to come in, so hopefully we can get these down fairly quickly, get back in the hide and move my vehicle, and we'll get straight into it hopefully, but we'll see. I think generally what I think with all decoy, I never get too despondent initially when you've got hundreds of birds in the air and you have a few shots, and before you know it, the sky's sort of empty. And very often you don't race off to a big start. I always think it's sort of a half an hour rule. You push stuff off and let it move away. They've actually moved further away now that I've started shooting. Originally when we pushed them off from here, they only went sort of quarter of a mile into the sort of surrounding hedgerows. Whereas now, you can see they've already pushed right over to the backs. They've gone a long way out, and hopefully it's enough that it sort of splits up the packs, and then when they want to start coming back to feed, which they will, this is where they want to be, all being well, they'll come in dribs and drabs and start building their confidence up. And I always think it takes a sort of half an hour period for that to start coming back in, but time will tell. Time will tell.
As winter has gone on, the shots have got longer and longer as the feed gets further and further away from his only shooting spot.
And for this job, I'm shooting a half and a full choke. The idea is these clamps are 40 to 50 yards, and because we're not eating the birds, the more lead you can get on them, the better. I'd rather have a tight pattern, and I'd rather be able to punch out. We're decoying 45 to 50 yards. Over the top here, David, there's a jackdaw, that's a 40. It's on the roof.
I ain't going that.
With some birds on the ground, he can set up a flapper, more as a diversion than a decoy.
So I'm going to get this first carrion crow out to one side. I don't want it right in the pattern. With our hide down there and birds coming in from here, it's quite easy for them to drift in slowly, which is often the way crows will come in. Gives them quite a lot of time to look and sort of assess your pattern and pick holes in it. And we're exposed as we are, it does tend to give them a long time, and we are being seen by some currently. I'm hoping that it sort of draws their attention enough to keep their focus and gives them a bit more confidence without seeing us in the meantime. So certainly jackdaws tend to decoy better Jackdaws will tend to decoy better to movement like magnets and stuff. Crows can be a bit wary of them.
Well,
So that was
proof of the pudding.
it's pretty instant, yeah, instantaneous, and it seems to be working. And here the jackdaws are coming in quite well. Yeah. Tell me if you're happy.
I'm happy.
Finding the range of them now. They're off to a slightly slow start shooting wise. 1 minute we're shooting them at sort of 35, 40 yards, heading away over the decoys. Next minute they're popping up over the...
This is the first time on camera, no excuses, just get on with it. Okay?
All right, all right.
Tristan is shooting well with his Caesar Guerini. He's had it for 8 years and bought it second hand. It's the balance of the gun that sold it to him. Plus, he felt it was a lot of gun for the money.
So for me, this particular Caesar Guerini, it's a gun that from day one I like the look of. It's got a fairly good piece of wood on it, quite a nice stock shape. I like the palm swell. I wanted a 32-inch barrel, and for me, this is the first gun with a 32-inch barrel that I picked up that sort of I noticeably, at my price point, could keep the weight right between my hands. The hinge pin is the balance point, and it doesn't feel heavy. It's still an 8.5 pound gun, so it's quite a heavy gun, but it doesn't noticeably feel heavy in the shoulder to me, which is important. It kept the front end quite lively, which is the style of gun that I'd used previously. So it fit the bill for me. Multi-chokes, long barrels, good fit, comfortable in the hand, nice piece of wood. It does it all without looking too outlandish.
As electronic calls are not permitted for corvid shooting, Tristan gives it a shot. Bit much, maybe?
You didn't like that? It was too aggressive, too assertive, with
Yeah.
a bit too dominant with him. Good girl.
Time for a pickup, and Tristan lets three-legged Maple the cocker blast off some steam. A delivery driver accidentally ran her over when she was 2, but that hasn't stopped her.
She used to be working all the time, and up until about 3 years ago she was still out on game days and doing a lot of shooting, sort of week in, week out, whereas now she's sort of in her retirement phase, so she still comes and does quite a lot of deer stalking and healing around the place, but I try and restrict the amount of work she does in a day now.
With things looking tidier, Tristan keeps knocking down those birds.
Stay on him.
Yeah. Shot.
Yeah, go on, I'll reload.
So you need your semi-auto.
Yeah, exactly. Fast bit of shuffling. Fast bit of shuffling around the hide, you know. Could have done with shooting on the first one. That's coming down.
That was a fast pigeon.
That was a fast pigeon. He's ended up about 150 yards behind the hide here. Out in the grass. Yeah, he did. He had the wind on his tail, that bird. But no, we're doing okay on the pigeons. We've had some nice pigeons coming over the back, so can come around. He's thinking about it, isn't he?
After a couple of hours, things have slowed down. The birds must have got the message. Tristan allows Mabel to pick the corvids as we pack up. He's confident she can handle the sharp end.
Don't mind picking up the...
No, this is personal decision. You know, it's you hear quite a lot about picking up corvids, any crows, jackdaws, magpies. They'll tend to peck a dog. It's down to the dog. Some dogs are quite timid in the way they retrieve stuff. Other dogs are quite hard-mouthed. Maple over the years has become pretty efficient at picking up crows. Never had a problem with it, touch wood, maybe that's just luck on my behalf. But no, she's more than happy to go and pick up a winged crow. She doesn't muck around with them, she piles into them. She's happy retrieving them. Doesn't seem to cause her any bother. In 10 years of picking up hundreds and hundreds of them, she's done okay. So.
It's been a short, sweet and successful morning, and our first timer Tristan has shot brilliantly, even with a camera shoved in his face and sharing his hide. Thank you, Tristan, who is of course a Fieldsports Nation supporter, and you can be one too. If you join up, link in the description below, you get a goodie box, you get to enter our weekly prize draws, you get your own programme, Fieldsports Extra, which comes out on Tuesday nights, and you get to help us put your sport in front of a wider audience. So, as well as becoming a fully paid up member, you become a fully paid up menace. Next to the pressure cooker of news, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Veteran anti-hunting campaigner George Monbiot now supports trophy hunting. In a week which saw Westminster MPs throw out John Speller's private members' bill to ban trophy imports, it's bad news for the hardcore antis, as one of their leading lights comes out in favour of hunting tourism. He follows Henry Mance, a writer on the Financial Times, whose recent book How to Love Animals concludes that we should all be vegetarian, but trophy hunting is okay because it benefits animals. There is still the second reading of the government's own bill to ban trophy imports. The government's postponed that to the 22nd of March 2022. In the meantime, pro-hunting interests are redoubling their efforts to make the case for hunting tourism.
Unfortunately, British media, British politicians, British celebrities are focusing entirely upon their feelings about hunting and not at all about the practical consequences of hunting.
BASC is warning that firearms licensing delays in the UK is reaching untenable levels. The shooting organisation is considering legal action against police forces that are refusing to grant or renew shotgun and firearm certificates. It says that applicants are now facing more than 6 months of delays, with police forces that have now stopped accepting grant applications, now including North Yorkshire, Thames Valley, Northamptonshire, Cambridgeshire, Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Hampshire Police. So what will pheasant shooting cost next season? One game farmer predicts poult prices will rise by up to 10% because of increased energy costs to produce both birds and the feed they eat. The top shoots are already charging more than £50 plus VAT per bird. In an article on the gunsonpegs.com website, game farmer Rob Elton of Perdix Valley says that gas price rises of up to 70% are likely to push the price of pheasant shooting even higher than it is now.
We're anticipating this year that a poult's going to cost around £4.50 a bird. Last year that was £3.90, so that's a 60p increase. Now this is mainly due to the price quotations we're getting for gas this year. They're spiking at around 70 to 75% increases. Feed is estimated to be about £2 a bag more this year. At the end of the day, guns this year we're paying £50 a bird in the air. What will they be next season? Well, I'll leave it up to you to decide, but definitely things will be on the increase.
Another deer has died after being tangled in wire. This red stag got caught up in electric fencing. Skye gamekeeper Scott Mackenzie dispatched it. He says he couldn't get near enough to the animal to cut the tape away from its muzzle, so it had to be dispatched. A new Young Shots programme has secured a day's shooting at Water Priory in Yorkshire in November. Dave Carey's Kids on Pegs programme launched last year, and this film shows a day at the Gui Sani shoot. Water Priory has now generously given Dave a day on the 14th of November 2022, which he's filled with kids on their first day shooting. For more about the programme, email Dave. His address is in the description below. Meanwhile, BASC Young Shots programme is holding a series of shoot days for kids, such as this one at Knowsley Estate in Merseyside. Ireland says it plans to ban wild goat shooting. A spokeswoman for the Department of Agriculture told the Irish Business Post that it was not acceptable that the goats, which currently roam wild, were subject to indiscriminate hunting. The feral Old Irish goat, an indigenous breed, is thought to number around 300 in the wild in Ireland. The Department of Agriculture will have to reclassify it as a wild animal so it can be protected. Antis have won the latest round in Norway's bureaucratic battle over wolf control. Local farmers managed to get a cull quota of 25 wolves, which they could shoot between the 1st of January and the 15th of February. 3 animal rights organisations protested, and a court in Oslo stopped the hunt until it can hear the antis' case. That won't be until the 29th of January, which leaves just 2 weeks left to shoot the wolves and save the lives of sheep and other livestock. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. The US state of Utah has banned hunters using trail cameras. After months of surveys, discussions and debates, the Utah Wildlife Board voted 3-4 to ban any device which is not held or manually operated by a person and is used to capture images, video or location data of wildlife and uses heat or motion to trigger the device. The sale or purchase of trail camera footage or data to take, attempt to take, or aid in the take or attempted take of big game animals is also prohibited under the new regulation. Police have taken away the guns of a conservative pastor in New Zealand. Carl Bromley, a founder of the Life Connection Missionary Baptist Fellowship in Christchurch, has lashed out at what he calls the totalitarian state of New Zealand after police raided his house on New Year's Eve, seizing a rifle, gun parts and ammunition. They broke into his house and forcibly removed a gun safe from a wall. Despite no complaints about him in regard to firearms and no criminal history, police took the action after a member of the public had expressed concern that he is a threat. Here he is filming a later encounter with police at his home where they come for his legally held air guns, which don't need a licence in New Zealand. He is well known for hosting a church service during the COVID-19 Alert Level 4 lockdown. One Australian state is planning to tighten up its firearms laws. The government of Western Australia says that escalating gun violence from outlaw motorcycle gangs means it has to crack down on legal gun ownership. It has introduced a firearms amendment bill with a raft of measures, including requiring a permit to purchase all firearms parts, possibly including rifle scopes, and banning the ownership of books about guns. The government says there will be no consultation. Shooting organisation SIFA is asking the shooting community in Western Australia to complain to their local members of parliament. And finally, a fox showed un-fox-like behaviour in the home counties last week. Local resident Baz Stevenson filmed the animal sniffing the shoes of passers-by in a churchyard in Thames Ditton in Surrey. It showed no fear of the humans, and even when it found something tasty on a trouser leg, it didn't nip the skin of the person underneath. Thanks to Baz for letting us use the footage. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Now, while we've all been at home dealing with COVID, the gun trade has had to give up its big international trade shows. Well, not anymore. I'm at the SHOT Show 2022 here in Las Vegas. And here's a quick spin round. First impressions.
Empty shelves at the 2022 SHOT Show. The annual expo of the world gun trade usually attracts shooting kit manufacturers, distributors and shopkeepers from all over the world. This year there are hardly any Europeans, not many accents from down under, and I've seen no Chinese so far. It is not a year for big launches, but it is a year for small steps forward, especially in the use of new tech to improve old ideas. I haven't just come along for the ride. Brett Snyder from Dark Storm Industries shows me around his new lightweight AR-15 and explains why so many Americans use the AR platform for what they call varminting, what we Brits call fox shooting.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that like to hunt with an AR platform. Depending on different states, they might have different legislation as far as cartridge-wise you can hunt with. But most people kind of steered away from ARs because of accuracy. They always have this idea that bolt-action guns are going to be far more accurate than an AR, but we've proved that wrong. Typically with an AR platform, if you wanted to shoot a 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor, you were upwards in the 9 to 12 pound weight of just the firearm alone. You know, add an optic and you're upwards of 12 to 15 pounds. We wanted to basically shrink that down, take an AR-15 platform, something that's more in the 6 pound weight, and chamber that in a 308, and that's what we did here for 2022. We released what's called the DS25. We modified just a couple parts on the firearm to be able to accept that 308 cartridge, and now it gives us a very user-friendly, versatile, lightweight platform. This gun weighs in at just 6 pounds 7 ounces. It uses all mil-spec AR-15 parts, however it does chamber a 308.
Savage Arms has brought out a new 2.2 semi-auto on similar lines using modern materials, adapting the shape of existing rimfire models and building a lightweight blinker that's also good for taking out after rabbits. Here's the engineer who designed it.
Well, it comes standard with, Savage quality accuracy. And then by improving the barrel profile, we got a nice suppressor on there, and the system is just adding to it. The chassis is really nice because it adds a lot of rigidity, but it's still a polymer, so it's still very lightweight. So.
There's innovation from Aimpoint. Eric Aas shows me around the Red Dot site with something like a ballistic turret.
What I can do with this site, what I not can do with our other sites, is that I can actually adjust for the distance. So right now I have a turret here on the top, and that one, when it stands on 1, is 100 meter, 200, 300 or 400 meters.
It also has magnification that you can deploy for long-range shots and then flip to the side when you don't need it. Air guns continue their trend to, well, I suppose you'd call it infinity and beyond, and to even greater calibers. Here is Fieldsports Channel commercial director James Westbrook trying out a very snazzy Browning B725. And we're seeing the first of a new trend, the one-man band who had a good idea during lockdown and is at last able to bring it to market. Patrick Newcomb came up with this, the grab-and-go hide.
It's a 3-pound portable stake-free hunting blind, complete mobility, made for your mobile hunting, run and gun style hunters. We launched last week at the APA show. It's going very well. Had a lot of great positive response. We've already got some stores we're going to be in. We're real happy with the start out.
He even has his marketing sorted out.
Don't just hunt them, nuke them.
The show had only just started when I filmed this, but it looks like SHOT Show 2022 is where American style can take hold, with none of those pesky Europeans getting excited about glued steel and polished walnut. And it's SHOT Show. It never fails to surprise.
It's still a fascinating show, even if it's missing a few European bodies. Talking of bodies, here is Fieldsports Nation supporter Doug Pocklington in Lincolnshire, having a big night on foxes. Fox shooting can give you thin nights, big nights, and tonight, a super star-studded carnival night. Fieldsports Nation supporter Doug Pocklington is in Lincolnshire protecting local shoots and wildlife from foxes, and he's tripping over the animals from the start.
That's number one. We actually just left the farm to come down the road and just get set up. And the first thing we saw in this field was a fox out here on the left-hand side, just picked him up in the lamp. So jumped out, we got him shot. See what he is when Robert gets back with it. Dog fox. Hopefully that's the first of many.
Doug's friend Robert is in charge of spotting, while Doug does the driving and the shooting. He's using his Ticker T3 rifle in .243 caliber with 58 grain Norma ammo. He's got a PARD night vision unit fitted behind the scope and a PBIR-L illuminator mounted on top. Doug is spotting with an ancient Pulsar XD50 thermal, while Robert uses an XD75. Within seconds of firing up the Fox Pro caller, there are foxes in every direction.
I'll shoot him if I can.
Woo!
Well, that's two, right, there's another one out there. My heart is going like the clappers. As soon as we put the caller on, I looked in the thermal and there was a roe deer out here, and as I scanned around there was a fox out there, that vixen at about 240 yards. And I think she must have been there, obviously, when we pulled up, just sat there watching us and getting out and everything, and felt safe at that range. So that was that one. Then we carried on calling, and then this dog, he came steaming in from over there. I was actually watching another fox behind the first one. Then he came steaming in, managed to shoot that. And that third one, well, after 2 shots ringing out and all the rest of it, he's on his toes. We might catch up with him in a minute, but that's 3 down, so that's not a bad start. We'll keep going and try and find some more.
A short way down the track, Doug spots the glint of eyes.
Fair way off, that is. There we go. Is it down? I can't see for smoke. That's a bit of another problem with a still night. All the smoke from the shot, it just clouds up in front of your IR and you can't see a thing. So that's number 4 then. Two dogs, 2 vixens. Yeah, another stop and shoot. The caller's getting a bit of a rest tonight, but we'll move on and we will have a call, see if there's anything else. But
We haven't gone far before there's a fox sitting in a hedge.
You! Oh, well shot, dog.
it's just like a dog sat there licking her paws or whatever, and I couldn't see where to shoot other than the head, so that's what we had to do.
The next fox appears from the wrong direction. Doug has to rearrange quickly. At this setup, there's a bit of a wait. Then one comes racing in like Lassie to a whistle.
That's number 7. We better just pack them a bit tighter together, Robert.
Need to do something.
We've been going, 2 hours, and we've shot 7. Everywhere we go we keep bumping into them. We put the caller on, they come running, so we're just going to have a minute and just catch a breath for a second. And
We get some funny looks in the petrol station, then we're back out again. Doug spots a pair of foxes some way off, but they've got other things on their minds. He decides to try and get closer.
they were just pretty well holding hands walking across that field, weren't they?
On the way, we spot yet another pair of eyes.
Just by pure chance he might just walk in, close enough for a shot. He's heading this way anyway. In coming down this track, we've seen a set of eyes in the lamp, so we've got out and had a look, and it's a fox. That was on this side though, and he's gone that way. Put the caller on, but we've already picked him up in the lamp, and he wasn't keen on that, so he's carried on going that way. But then, with putting the caller on, we've had one appear behind us, and we think his mate's over there as well. But anyway, he's come in, we've shot that. That's number 8 of the night now, I think. So we'll go back to plan A and carry on up the track, stop at the end, have a proper squeak there, and maybe then anything that's left here it'll either come to the call or it'll be in range and we'll maybe better just deal with it when we're on our way out of here again. Number 9. I can't believe that.
That's come from.
That's come
silly
from miles away. Yeah, that's number 9. So we'll get that one and that one picked up.
Yeah, I'll go get that one
and
now.
then we'll press on. This is my proudest achievement ever, the old bonnet prop, you know, it sort of self-deploys as you sort of, apart from when you put a fox in the way, yeah, it just slots out a treat there. Bit of 2x2, a very agriculturally sort of fitted hinge. It fits, it works. So that's
8 in here now.
2, 4, 6, 8, one more to pick.
Yeah.
Just shear up that side. Lovely.
What we got? Dog vixen?
I don't know.
Another dog.
The chap that lives in this house here has actually seen him walking through the yard on his CCTV, so we knew they're here, we knew they're around here, but we've been squeaking, what, 10 minutes? I've been going round and round in circles, nearly made myself dizzy, not seen one come from any of this open ground, and suddenly saw that one there. Anyway, he's down, that's number 10 for the night. That's 11. Yeah, good fun, good job done. What makes it enjoyable is when you know you're doing a bit of good, and none of us would want to see the last fox shot, but at the same time we don't want to see this amount running riot every night, catching what they do, killing what they kill, and you know, they're breeding at this time of year, so you know, a pair shot now is a litter in the spring, which again, that's when they really do the damage. So I'd say we've had a good night.
Doug is one of our Fieldsports Nation supporters, the programme that helps fund our work. Join up and you can get exclusive content, a goodie box, and the chance to enter our weekly prize draws. Plus, who knows, we might come and film you too. To find out more, click on the link in the description below. Thank you, Doug, for the outing, and thanks also for being a Fieldsports Nation member. Next up, from Lincolnshire to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the top hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. The noted catapult shot Wayne Martin has a new film out. He's shooting a target round at the Sussex Catapult Club. Bob Wilson sends me this film of his falconer friends in Northamptonshire, Kyle and Tommy, who keep their hawks fit hunting at night. Thanks to Gerald Humphrey for sending me details of his channel Moocher's Ways, mainly about ferreting, long netting and running dogs. He is ferreting here on a cold day. North Wales Fieldsports in Ruthin, North Wales has a YouTube channel, and viewer Iwan sends me this, showing the ease with which you can use a Swarovski Z6i ballistic turret to shoot at to 400 yards. American comedian Steve Hofstetter may or may not be pro-animal rights, but he's deeply anti-PETA, thanks to the organisation's sleight of hand when it comes to what they promise for animals and what they deliver. In this film, Steve demolishes PETA's pro-animal arguments. Tweeds and Pheasants is out on a keeper's day on a friend's shoot. He's using his 28 bore for the pheasants and 12 for the ducks. Jacob Cameron puts up his father's Cape Buffalo hunt in South Africa. It's a 40-minute film that deals with every aspect of the hunt. And finally, viewer Marco Martilla from Finland recommends the Wooded Beardsman channel from Canada. In this film, he makes a killer igloo or quinzee, drops in birch tips for bait, and sets snares leading into the tunnels. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page, and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain, it's out 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain from Las Vegas. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.